The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, I'm disappointed that the government refuses to reveal the names of the 11 candidates who were funded by the Beijing communist regime. The idea is that they should be transparent and open with Canadians and tell the truth. The Prime Minister was told in January who the 11 candidates were who were funded by Beijing's communist regime. Why is he protecting the names of those candidates, Mr. Speaker? What is the Prime Minister trying to hide? The Honourable Minister of Innovation. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. I have a lot of respect for him. But on issues like this, Mr. Speaker, we need to stick to the facts. I think it's dangerous to politicize an issue like this one, Mr. Speaker. We're talking about democracy, about foreign interference. I would invite my colleagues on the other side of the House not to play political games. These are very important issues to all Canadians who are listening today, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, transparency is not a game. We were informed that in 2019 there was a network of clandestine candidates funded by the communist regime in China. The Prime Minister did nothing. And in 2021, they started it all over again, influencing the elections again, Mr. Speaker. And the result? Nobody's been prosecuted. Nobody's been convicted. And we need to send a message that we will never tolerate any interference in any foreign interference in our elections. What are the Liberals trying to hide, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we fully agree that on an issue like this, transparency is important. But, Mr. Speaker, I should tell my colleague that on both sides of the House, we will never accept foreign interference in our democracy. Everyone here agrees on that. We are going to take action accordingly, and I would invite all members of the House not to play political games with such a fundamental issue as Canadian democracy.
Center.
Mr. Speaker, provincial healthcare systems across the country are collapsing. Pediatric rooms are being overwhelmed, and wait times are more than 12 hours. In Hamilton, McMaster Children's Hospital is currently at 140% capacity, and there's a shortage of cribs and infusion pumps. A shortage of cribs. Children are suffering, parents are terrified, so will this government take immediate action now so that children get the emergency medical care they so desperately need?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and we share the deep concerns of my colleague and parents across this country. These wait times are inexcusable, the shortage of drugs is unacceptable, and we must do more, particularly for kids and children in our ridings. But right now, it's a really, really bad flu season. Right now, parents are going through this because cold and flu is just rearing its ugly head, and as we see an increase in these types of illnesses, we should all be protecting ourselves and those around us. So I encourage everybody to make sure they're up to date on vaccines and do everything they can. If you don't feel good, stay home. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, people are worried about the climate crisis, especially since Canada just received embarrassingly low marks for climate action at COP27, scoring 58th out of 63 countries. Only Russia, South Korea, Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, and Iran ranked lower. While people are losing their jobs, homes, and lives during heat waves, flooding, and forest fires, the Liberals just keep handing out subsidies to big oil, breaking climate target after climate target. When will the Liberals own up to their climate failure and stop giving away billions to big oil and gas?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the report that the honourable member mentions did not take into account some of our most recent action, but we agree with the general conclusion that we have to do more, Mr. Speaker, and that's why we're investing $9.1 billion in our emissions reduction plan, Mr. Speaker. We have an ambitious plan to get to 40 to 45% reduction in emissions by 2030, and Mr. Speaker, we are cutting methane emissions. We're eliminating fossil fuel subsidies, and we are capping emissions on oil and gas, Mr. Speaker, and we are investing heavily in the clean economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for